the girl who sits there in another period said, yeah, you did. You were like, okay. And she was talking like that. I'm like, that doesn't even sound like me. That's a terrible impression of me. A good impression of me would be like, right? Brilliant. As I see myself. But here's how someone who sits 6 feet from me, 7 feet from me, sees me in real life. And she would drop her shoulders to like, I'm like, that's how I sound? And she's like, well, yeah. And then the girl with her, she goes, yeah, that's kind of how we hear you. I'm like, it's a good thing to be humble and remember that most of us are probably like this. We think we come off as one way. We think we're seen one way, but who knows how you never can know how you look in other people's eyes. And that's part of kind of why we hang out with certain people. That's a lot of social interactions, by the way. We're all standing around making sure that our masks of identity are all on straight. Oh, you look okay. How about mine? Oh, your mask looks good too. We all know that we're fake. We all know that we're full of crap. And then when the one person comes along who tells the truth, that's the person who scares us. They're dangerous. We'll accuse them, and ironically, the person who tells the truth will oftentimes accuse them of lying, because we just don't want that to be true, you know. And then the person who's to tell the truth, you've got to be willing to love your enemies and to hate your friends. You have to be willing to tell your sister that, don't do that. You're going to embarrass the family name. You're humiliating us. If you're going to wear that, can you come home through the back door? That way no one knows you actually live here. So part of it is that you want fairness. So fairness means that you want to be treated without partiality. In other words, don't benefit me, but also don't be against me. Just tell me what the real thing is. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that go along with that we might not even think of. Like in order for me to desire fairness, I have to believe that we're equal. Because I have to believe that I don't deserve to be treated better than my station. But I also have to believe I don't deserve to be treated worse than where I am. I deserve to be treated, as everybody else is. And then I wonder how many of us really want fairness. Because we don't like there are areas that we accept things are unfair, or unequal. Like, does anybody want their 5-year-old cousin to vote or to drive, let's say? Probably not. So we accept that there'll be inequality there, but I won't do the philosopher thing and ask you what is fairness. So we could spend time trying to figure that out, but we have a general idea. So you'd have to be humble in terms of wanting to be treated like everybody else. Yeah. There's another sense that also you have to be humble in the sense that you understand that you don't know everything. You don't have all the answers. Like if I were to ask you, good example, you guys hear me in here. You guys hear me speak. And if I were to ask you guys, what are some traits that you think of when you hear, Scanlon talking? I know what some of them are. Genius, quite clear. Powerful speaker, life-changing. I know these are things that I've heard in my head before. Articulate, wise, insightful as well. Why are you guys laughing? This is being serious here. And then yesterday, one of my current students, she's not in this period, but she sits right there in 4th period, but I'm not going to tell you Lena's name. And then a student who I had 2 years ago as a 10th grader, they came in and they were roasting me about something. I can't remember what it was, because what stood out to me was Lena, I was saying, I didn't say that. And Lena goes, I'm sorry, the girl who sits there in another period said, yeah, you did. You were like, okay. And she was talking like that. I'm like, that doesn't even sound like me. That's a terrible impression of me. A good impression of me would be like, right? Brilliant. As I see myself. But here's how someone who sits 6 feet from me, 7 feet from me, sees me in real life. And she would drop her shoulders to like, I'm like, that's how I sound? And she's like, well, yeah. And then the girl with her, she goes, yeah, that's kind of how we hear you. I'm like, now, I said, Stanley, be humble. Maybe that is how you come off and you sound to certain people. I hear sometimes that I come off as scary to people. I have no idea why I come off as scary. I make fun of myself like 90% of the time, and I only exaggerate like 10% of the time. So I don't. But obviously there must be a reason. It's not just. I found out that over in the office that they like argue over who's going to call me because everyone's afraid to talk to me. And that's what it was. There was people who were going to make a decision on whether or not they should have a philosophy club, and I had no idea this conversation even happened. Another teacher here who runs those kinds of things came to me and told me the story and was laughing, and I didn't think it was funny. It bothered me a little bit. She said that they were trying to figure out who should come and talk to me to ask me if I would run the club. And it wasn't students; it was people in the office. And they were like, "Oh, can you go talk to him? He's kind of scary. Can you go talk to him?" These are adults, man. Like, what am I gonna do? Punch you in the face because you asked me to do a club? I have no idea where that comes from. But I could sit here and go, "That's not true." I guess I hear it too much. So this is how everyone sees me. Walking around, picking a fight, arms out to the side, ready to grab my knife at the first person who talks to me. Which of those two things is true? Probably yes. I guess it has to be both, right? Because that's how people are reporting it, and I don't think they have an axe to bone to pick with me, an axe to grind with me. I don't think they have any reason to lie to me about how they see me, but it's a good thing to be humble and remember that most of us are probably like this. We think we come off as one way. We think we're seen one way, but who knows how you never can know how you look in other people's eyes. And so I'd like to believe, but I know, man, if I were to die today, and let's say that they offered you guys a free period off to go to my funeral, so you did, I know what people would say. They look at me and go, "Ice cream." That's it. That's what will be remembered. And so you have to be humble to believe that life can and will go on without you. Yeah. Right. Maybe. Depends on what it is, yeah? Yeah, if I'm on the street and you're a bunch of protesters and you go to them and say, "Let's talk about it." Maybe they won't want to talk. Maybe they're more into action. But, Mike, I guess, let me ask you, how do you decide when you're going to tell the truth to somebody when they ask you your opinion? Do you ever not answer something just because you know it's not going to go well? And do you ever tell them, "I'm not going to answer that," rather than just sidestep it? Dude, I mean, because I guess I would say that I hope every girl has an older brother to tell the truth. You know, because if you have older brothers and they say something to you, by the way, the truth, I'm going to put it with an asterisk. The truth isn't always the truth. The truth is going to be what you believe to be true. And I mean, you believe it to be true. Like if you asked me, good question. Anybody in here know the southernmost state of the United States? What? Which state of the United States goes the farthest south? Florida. Okay, you know this. Okay. Does anybody know what it is? Nobody? Huh? Well, I was just saying that. I was asking, what is the southernmost state of the United States? So of all the United States, which one protrudes the furthest south? Yeah.
I thought it was Maine.
What's that?
I thought it was Maine.
Maine? No, Maine's the northernmost.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Northernmost.
Yeah. So it'd be what?
Florida.
Okay, you know this.
Yeah.
Okay, how do you know it?
Because I've seen a map.
Okay. Does anybody think Benjamin's lying to you?
No.
Okay. No, he's not. He's a man of strong, upstanding character. But guess what? He's wrong. He's wrong. The southernmost state of the United States is Hawaii. Hawaii goes the furthest south of any state. If you look at a global map, it goes way down past California, Florida, all that. Now, it's tricky, but the point of this is just, he was telling the truth as best as he knew it. He believed it. He believed that to be true. Sometimes people will tell you the truth. They might just be wrong. And so when you ask a question like that, does this shirt make me look fat? That's not the shirt. And again, hands got to come up, protect high. But by the way, does it mean that dress makes you look fat? Because you could then turn to somebody else. Does this shirt make me look fat? I don't think so. And they could really mean the truth, and that's the truth of their opinion. Now, there are some things that sometimes you're just wrong about what you think to be true. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as you're telling the truth as best as you possibly know it. You know, in other words, to not say anything that you know to be untrue, or not to say anything that you might have a reason to believe is untrue. Because as soon as I asked, you said Florida, and I asked, you know that? You're like, no, I don't. And that's good, because if you had said, I know it for sure, now that makes you go, well, what the hell else am I wrong about, if you're a thoughtful person? But a better thing to do is to never state that you know something unless you actually know it. So then Lord Benjamin says, I've seen a map. Now, has he ever seen a map before that showed Florida as the southernmost state? You might have. Somebody may have misdrawn the map and just put Hawaii like off the coast of California just so you could see it. But that's not where it actually is. In other words, and that person, when they did that, they go, oh, I'm going to mislead somebody in San Diego, make them think Hawaii is next to California. No, it's just that they made the map and they sold the map because they weren't trying to portray truth. They were trying to portray a picture, I guess is an idea. So that's where we start getting kind of confusing with this. So I'm going to ask you this question afterwards. I have a really important question for you guys about truth. I really want everyone to participate in this. Lord Benjamin. Anybody ever seen Mean Girls before? If you haven't, you should. The movie is brilliant. It's a brilliant movie. Remember the scene when they go up to her bedroom and they're like looking in the mirror and they start complaining about themselves? Oh, I have big pores, I have man shoulders, I have this. That's kind of the opposite of that. What's that? Yeah, exactly. They're like, ew, like that's the worst thing. Her breath stinks when she wakes up. That's kind of the opposite of that. But yeah, sometimes you'll give a person a compliment because you want them to say something nice back to you. You should do that. Just walk around and just compliment people and then just stare at them. I really like your shoes. Anything you want to say to me? Thank you. Anything else besides that? Yeah. And that's part of kind of why we hang out with certain people. That's a lot of social interactions, by the way. We're all standing around making sure that our masks of identity are all on straight. Oh, you look okay. How about mine? Oh, your mask looks good too. We all know that we're fake. We all know that we're full of crap. And then when the one person comes along who tells the truth, that's the person who scares us. They're dangerous. We'll accuse them, and ironically, the person who tells the truth will oftentimes accuse them of lying, because we just don't want that to be true, And then the person who's to tell the truth, you've got to be willing to love your enemies and to hate your friends. You have to be willing to tell your sister that, don't do that. You're going to embarrass the family name. You're humiliating us. If you're going to wear that, can you come home through the back door? That way no one knows you actually live here. Because if you can tell somebody the truth, it means you actually care about them and not what it is that you might be able to get from them. But most people don't live that way. But now what happens if you tell your friends the truth? Oh, they might stop talking to you. What happens if you tell your sister the truth? She might, not talk to you as much or whatever. But what you'll find sometimes is how you tell the truth. If you tell it in such a way, you're going to repel people. People are going to hate you. People are going to look for little things wrong with you. I remember when I became a teacher, you have to do a teaching credential class. And when you're done with all your classes and everything, you have to do an exit interview. And I remember my exit interview. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He sat across from me at a desk, and I wrote down a story about this interaction. I'm trying to remember as best I can right now. But in short, he just says, I've only got one question for you in this whole exit interview. And he asks me, are you ready? He just goes, are you ready for that? And then he said, but before I ask you that question, think about this. And he goes on basically to explain, here's what your life as a teacher is going to be like. And he explains about how kind of like messed up a lot of things are. How it is that we have access to stuff that's messing us up even more. Blah, 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 blah. He goes on to point out that, he says, as a teacher, you're going to have students who are going to hate you just because you're a teacher. Some are going to hate you because you tell the truth. Some are going to hate you because they think you're not. And anybody who dislikes you even a little bit, they're gonna find something about you to zero in on and go, yeah, don't listen to him because he's got, I don't know, he wears cowboy boots even though he's never been on a horse before. They'll find some little thing to attack you on. And you'll be under the microscope constantly. You come in, you're having a bad day, they're gonna know it. You're coming in and you're having something going on in your life, they'll be able to sense it from you. If there's anything that's unreal about you or inauthentic, they'll sniff it out. If you're walking around, I remember him saying specifically, if you go to Petco and you get in an argument with somebody at the baseball game, and you make a fool of yourself, there's going to be someone around who was one of your students at some point, and they're going to see it. They're going to remember you and go, oh, and then they're going to tell everybody about it. Every little part of what you do is going to be under the microscope. Yeah, and he went on for a while like this. He gets to the end and he goes, so having said all of that, are you ready for that? And I remember I only answered with 2 words. Oh, yeah. I said, oh, yeah. And he goes, he kind of last point, he goes, what makes you think you're ready for that? You know, this is not part of the exit interview, but I'm wondering. And I said, because I'm not a role model. I know I'm not a role model. I plan when I go, and I'm not going to present myself as a role model. I'm not going to say, you should be, sorry, you should be like this, you should be like that. No. My job is to come in and give you access to ideas that we might not have otherwise, to give you an opportunity to get the education that you could get, not to force you into anything. I'm not going to pretend to be anything I'm not, just this is me. And he said, why aren't you a role model? I said, oh, take one of my classes someday we'll learn. He laughed, he said, okay, so I think you're ready for that. So sometimes it's, I don't know, like you tell the truth and people think you're not telling the truth. That will also happen. You'll say something like that and people go, he only says that because he thinks he is a role model. No, and I respect you way too much to try to do reverse psychology stuff on you. That's dishonest, that's manipulation. If I could manipulate you that easily, I'd manipulate you into studying and getting good grades. That would be a better use of my time. But the point of it all is, if you want to help people, you can tell them the truth. But that, of course, presupposes that they're going to be humble enough to receive it, that they're going to see you in such a way that they think you're actually being fair with your assessments. And they're going to have to be open to it and have an opinion and have a personality such that they're willing to actually hear you and accept it. That's hard to come by. And so the alternative for a lot of us is, I could just lie to him, end the conversation. You know, it's not worth it. It's not worth the fight because a lot of us lie. You know, because lying isn't just saying what isn't true. Lying is also saying more than what's true. And a lot of us do it every day. It's just to make life simpler. You know, I love you. Anything you want to tell me? I love you too. Oh, I knew it. Oh, good. There's one way we say more than what's true. Oh, how about this? How you guys doing today? How you guys doing today? Yeah, good, right? Some of you are lying to me right now and I happen to know it. Because we say things is, what am I supposed to do? Tell the truth? I don't want to tell the truth. So some of us just sit there and say nothing. And if you sit there and say nothing to me, guess what? You guys are incredibly rude. You're ignoring me by not answering me. So anyway I go, yeah. And sometimes life feels like that. That's one of the hard things of it. So, anyway, questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms?